What is going on, you guys? So today I have another quick episode for you. So the video that we're reviewing here is from a guy named the Digital Nomad, and he's responding to a YouTuber by the name of Brett Cooper, and her channel is called The Comments Section with Brett Cooper. So the video here is titled Passport Bro Responds to Brett Cooper, Exposed or Validated. So first things first, if you don't know what a passport bro is, basically it's someone who goes overseas, and generally when people talk about it, it's surrounded around dating. Like they go overseas for dating. Now, I think it's a misused term, honestly. So before we even hop into the video, like one thing that would be wise for guys to do is to stretch their dollar and go overseas for that reason specifically, right? So working remotely, so you can work anywhere in the world, so you have the time and location freedom, and you can raise your finances, save more, because maybe it's more difficult in your home country, right? For example, like the UK, Canada, Australia, the US, the list goes on. Right, so I wanted to make that before we hop into this video, because I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but you know, it's better for you to just be a digital nomad, right? And of course, you know, dating is going to be a part of your lifestyle. Let's not kid ourselves here, but that's important to note. Like, you know, you shouldn't be going overseas because of women, right? Like, you should have all your priorities straight to where it's you're getting your finances straight, your body straight, everything else right in your life. And then women are essentially last on the list, although still an important part, right? And the reason it's important is so that you can find a high quality fit for you long term. So let's hop into the video.
I want to say we're exploiting them when there's more exploitation going on to make the iPhones they're messaging from than us taking a girl on a nice date in another country.
Hey, what's up, everybody? With my friend Jewel, we're from my TikTok. We're out in the Philippines right now. We actually got tagged in a Daily Wire video. It's got a ton of views right now. It's the comment section with Brett Cooper. I'm getting a ton of messages about this. I haven't watched it all the way through, so I thought it'd be fun to do a reaction video to it. I've seen some clips, but I haven't seen the whole thing. Apparently, we're into the lot.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. There is a new dating trend in the world right now. I guess relationship trend is the better way to say it. And it has made its way into the digital conversation, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Like, when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, like I can't.
First of all, that's crazy that she's saying it makes sense, because most women that hear about passport bros get angry, get furious. So right off the bat, I know I saw the thumbnail and I saw she was like a white girl. I figured she was American. I thought I was going to get flamed. People were like, you're tagged in this. And I saw it, I was like, I had to do damage control.
Another American woman talking shit about passport bro.
Yeah, exactly. Jules seen her fair share of that on her page, for sure.
If this wasn't happening earlier. It surrounds a certain type of man, a passport bro. All right, so here are some definitions of passport bros. Western men who are deciding to go to Asia and elsewhere to find traditional and feminine women to wife up because they are either annoyed at the insanely high standards that modern Western women hold, or they don't share the extreme woke values, or because Western women can be hypocrites who want a provider man, but they won't clean or cook. Here's a good little hype reel for passport bros to get you into it. They actually have Candace in here, which I really love. Again, it makes so much sense.
I only want you for the money in the toe and for the bills. That's it. If you ain't getting my hair done, if you ain't getting my nails done, if you ain't doing nothing for me, then I don't need you there.
I really do believe that modern feminism encourages male absence. It encourages it because it's become toxic. All of their examples, the idea of what it means to be a man now is toxic. They think, oh, this is a man, masculinity is wrong. There's something inherently wrong with being a masculine man. This version of feminism today, we have women that are basically promoting men should act like women, right? And women should act like men.
You cannot scream at men and say that they are the worst thing that ever happened to the entire world while still wanting a relationship with one of them. And you're not going to get it when you treat them that way. That's why they are all leaving. Now,
And what happens is women want men to act like women, and then they don't like them. And then they end up like, actually, I kind of like when a man is like a man sometimes. Yeah. Even though they blame him for everything, they still are sexually attracted to masculine qualities. And then the nice guys get cheated on. To the, the Chads take.
Here's the first TikTok that I saw about this passport bro thing. This is a conversation that people were having.
You pay attention to the passport bro, like they're getting women from like the DR, Colombia, the Philippines, Thailand, like women that can speak very little English, women that don't have education.
They're all raised to be wives. They learn everything from birth, from their father, from their mother, how to be a wife and how to support your man.
Women that need them.
So you can tell, right? Like even in that clip that's playing right now, like the woman has no idea what she's talking about, and the guy does, right? It's like no, like these women are taught to be wives. Like they're taught to be good women. They're taught not to, be too promiscuous, like all these different things, right? To treat themselves with respect, treat men with respect, so there's a mutually beneficial, mutually respectful, healthy relationship. That's the funny part about the argument, right? It's like why are we arguing against healthy relationships? Like, I mean, can we not pretend, right? Like oh, I don't need you. I don't need, like, we don't need each other. It's like, it's a little bit ridiculous, right? And you can see like the attitude that's going on there. It's like, this is essentially what they're talking about, right? It's like, at the end of the day, guys are very simple, right? All we want is peace and respect. Easy, right? And so peace, respect, feeling loved, that's it, right? So being kind to each other, doing acts to support each other, right? Treating each other well, having this really fulfilling relationship, healthy habits together. Like, this is what we're talking about, right? It's not complicated. It's not rocket science.
Not even women that need them. It's women that treat them with respect.
So we don't.
Y'all know y'all don't.
All right, you were raised in the Philippines.
My mom used to tell me not to do chores because you're gonna end up doing it for your husband. Because you're supposed to take care of your husband. It's a pride that you take as a woman. Like, if your house is messy, it's your pride. Like, why are you letting your home to be messy? Or if your husband is wearing a shirt that's wrinkled.
So you take pride. It's almost like, not that you're subservient in the house, but you own the house.
Yeah.
The woman is the queen of the house, and so that's why she has to keep it in order. Not necessarily she's a slave in the house.
It is so good. I mean, that's a perfect example.
And I had heard that before, right? Like that line of questioning, like, oh, so like you want like a servant, right? Like people say that like all over the internet about this stuff. And it's not about that, right? It's what we were just talking about: peace, respect, kindness, caring for each other. Like I'll tell you this story, right? I was surprised one time when I was dating a girl, and I didn't ask her to do this. I was in the middle of working, and we were a little bit new to dating each other, and she started doing my laundry. And I said, no, you don't have to do that. And she said, no, I want to. Right? And that just like, it's crazy. The first part, right, is it's crazy that even took me aback, because it shouldn't have, right? It's because I hadn't experienced it before, and I think it's because a lot of women I had dated before were stubborn about that, right? And this one just understood, like, she was just being kind, she was caring for me, and she wanted to do that. Like, she, out of just the kindness of her heart, like, she's like, I want to make his life easier and do this. And not only that, she was doing things like, I had work calls, and so she would ask me, like, let me know when you're in between calls so I can bring you, like, I can cook you breakfast. I can bring you a coffee. Are you ready for coffee, babe? And she would wake up early. Like, I had to do those calls at like 4 a.m., right? Like, I would start my workday at 4 a.m. and she would wake up a little bit after to do some things like that. That's what we're talking about, right? We don't want servants, right? I think that's what it gets like mixed up in some of the messaging is like, no, we want to be able to just support each other and have a healthy relationship. That's it, right? It's simple.
The Western women, they're pissed about it. They're bitter. They're projecting. And they're also appallingly ignorant and actually racist. Like, that is like the definition of racist. So they don't really speak English. They're not, educated. You're so high up on your horse that you really think Western women are the shit. And they are the only ones who can read and speak English. Like, calm down. America's literacy rate is in the actual trash. Not as great.
Also, by the way, I don't know how much complaining about this stuff is actually going on. There's just a lot of loud voices on the internet, right? So, I'm not really sure, like, exactly how much, like, people getting mad about this and that is actually going on, but it's definitely interesting that they're bringing it up.
As you think you are, and everything that those men were saying was absolutely true. Women in these other countries are raised to be more traditional. And in America, we're, in the middle of a dumpster fire. No wonder they're going elsewhere. But anyway, moving on. Here is a self-professed passport bro in action. This isn't him on a date. This is just like a day in the life of what he's doing as he's being a passport bro out in the world.
A day in the life of a
passport. This is my first appearance on here. It's crazy coming from, I've been doing this for so long. Before the passport bros had a name, it was just like what I felt like doing. And now to see me on the Daily Wire as a face of what she's saying, like a passport bro, it's crazy. It's so crazy to me. And I just gotta see. I gotta see how she takes it in.
Day in the life of a passport bro in the Philippines. First, we knock out some work at a remote jobs. We make US dollars overseas, which basically quadruples our money in the Philippines. We ride our scooters over to a remote beach to grab some lunch. The food is delicious and the prices are wild. We party with some more travelers, made some more friends, and then we wake up in the morning bright and early and start it all again.
And bright and early, when they're already working their remote jobs, they're already drinking. Man is living the dream of many American men. Apparently people have not believed that this man's life is real, and they think that he's just hooking up with a bunch of ladyboys, and a ladyboy is like common slang in Southeast Asia for a transgender woman prostitute. He's saying, no, I am not going out.
Hey, if I'm hooking up with ladyboys, then what does that make to you?
You can check.
And it's also just offensive that they are claiming that these objectively beautiful women that he's going out with are transgender prostitutes, which is absurd. Again, just people being dicks. But like what we just saw, men like this.
Well, yeah, it's people just coming out of a place of negative energy, right? Like it's out of envy and jealousy, basically.
Get a ton of hate for being these passport bros, and this guy in particular has done a ton of responses, and I in particular really liked this video.
People who are trying to shame the passport bros are going to lose, and here's why. They need a moral high ground to shame you from, right? So they frame it as in like, we are actually protecting these poor, uneducated women. Meanwhile, we all know they don't give a flying. I want to say we're exploiting them when there's more exploitation going on to make the iPhones they're messaging from than us taking a girl on a nice date in another country. What's great is women are actually starting to clap back from these countries, which is amazing, because basically their argument infantizes them and calls them all too poor or uneducated to make decisions themselves as grown women. I've got so much hate when I started my channel. People tried to cancel me. People were making outrageous claims, and I saw right through it and kept doing what I was doing, and I'm glad you all stuck with me. And if you haters are still here, thank you for all the hate. You're just boosting my comment section. I appreciate you all. I'm not stopping anytime soon.
It seems very nice and very level-headed, and everything he said was just like straight facts. Somebody said, hating for the fact that these bros are going out of their way to treat another girl that's not them nice, spoiled, and on an old-fashioned date. Somebody else said, passport bros will never be ashamed to stop exploring their option. Let's all fly out. Another person said, I keep my passport ready. Like, these comment sections.
Think about this, right? I mean, hate never comes from above. It always comes from below, right? It's the point of like negativity, jealousy, envy, frustration, upset, right? Like I mean, basically negative comments, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or in real life, right? Like, think about what kind of mental state you actually have to be in to do that, right? Because if you were fine, you would just be calm, peaceful, and happy, right? And you might just open up a conversation about it, like, oh, that's interesting. Like what made you start doing that, right? Like, rather than like getting angry, upset, hate comments, etc., right? Like, essentially, it's not coming from a good place, right? Like, just think about like how you have to be feeling about your life and yourself to be doing something like that. Because there's a lot of more productive, positive ways you could be using your energy, basically.
Are filled with men that are like, oh, I want to do this. I want to get out of here. I can't stand the American women. And like he said, women are speaking out about this, and he's also platformed women responding to this hate, like women that he's gone out with. This is one really good one.
Hey, Jules' appearance. Here we go. Man, this was good. He did level up. I need to level up. I can't.
The Philippines, Thailand, like women that can speak very little English, women that don't have education.
A lot of these women talking shit on the passport bros have never left the country. It's obvious because the Philippines is one of the countries with the highest levels of English speaking people that I've ever been to.
This doesn't go to every American woman out there. This is just for those who keep talking shit about us. Okay? And if you're insecure about this, if you're threatened in some kind of way, I suggest you work on yourselves instead of talking shit about other people.
So good.
Who doesn't even care about you guys, who doesn't even know you exist. And y'all kind of seem hard to please and naggy and insecure and...
Look at your face!
It's over. We are screwed.
It's so good. It's also so embarrassing. Like, come on, that's how they look at American women. That we are needy and insecure and hard to please, and we're just angry that other women treat men better than us. I'm including me in this, but...
I need to give you a chance to respond to that.
The first time that I saw that video, I was like, this hoe. Like, why are you talking shit about us? We don't even know what this thing is all about. And now that I'm actually seeing her reaction, Brett's reaction, was like, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing at some American women's point, because that's how people from Southeast view Western women.
It's just embarrassing that this is the like global perception of Western women thanks to feminism. Like, she literally left no crumbs. We all need to be more like Filipinas, apparently. The passport bro conversation even made its way to the Whatever Pod, and this girl sort of had a different take, but it was also really good for another reason, and just started a whole other thing in my head, so let's just watch this.
They want to go be a passport bro, and I'm like, bro, you're fat, you're broke, you don't deserve your shoes. No way for you to level up.
Are you against passport bros, or?
I understand the fundamentals of it for those who have done everything in life to make sure they are a man, but if you're not a man, I don't think you deserve that, honestly. If some other guy who's living here who's never had an idea of what a male figure is in his life, he's going based off whatever little content he picks from the internet. He's like, well, I want a traditional wife, but therefore he doesn't even have like a credit score. He doesn't even have like his life check. He's still from high school. But you want a traditional girl. Like, what happens when you bring that girl over here? You're gonna basically make her a Western woman, and she's gonna realize.
I agree. I think people sometimes get this idea that being a passport bro is going to just fix all your problems. Like, you just get your passport and the rest of your life is solved. But it's not. And in order to live in these countries, you have to have a good job that you can do remote. And what Southeast Asian women, these women still value masculinity. You still have to be a man. You still have to be able to provide. Now, having said that, it is much easier. It is much easier. You can make $40,000 a year and be able to have a wife and family in some of these countries. Where in America, it's tough. It's tough. And you could be just by yourself $40,000. Like, you're in the Philippines, you know, like how much a month you would have to make is not that high.
I think if you know you can provide a roof above your head, then that's the time you decide to be a passport bro. But if you just, I'm sad with my life, I want someone who can treat me better than this Western woman, I might need to go to these countries.
Yeah.
Then no, you're just gonna be, I'm sorry, excuse me for the term, but you're just gonna be a burden for this women.
It's going to be interesting to see how this movement goes, because this is the beginning. So I think in the next few years even, we're going to see a lot going on. But
a couple things there. I mean, one that's like kind of what I was saying earlier, right? Like, it's a good point. Basically, like, you need to get your stuff sorted before even doing that. And it's better to just go the digital nomad route, or let's even exclude the digital nomad thing. Like, just become a remote worker, right? Like, maybe you start your own business, or you're working remotely and have a decent job, right? Get all your things in line. Get like your priorities straight, basically, so you can have things in order, and then be a masculine leader when you're in these situations, right? Because like the finances, the fitness, like, you know, being chubby, right? Like all these things come before women, right? Like, women should be last on the totem pole there. And of course, it's a fulfilling part of life. And a lot of guys, again, are really naive, right, when it comes to dating. So even if it was in, you know, one of these places like you know, South America or Asia or somewhere else, or in their home country, right, like the US, Canada, like, you have to know what you're doing when it comes to your life and dating, right? Because you can run into a terrible woman in any country, and you can run into a really great woman in any country as well. So you actually just have to be in position. It's essentially like, if you're not ready and you get thrown a curveball, right, you're not going to be able to catch it, right? Like, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. You're not going to be able to maybe create an amazing opportunity out of it, right? So you might find a really amazing woman and you won't be ready for it because you're not the man that you need to be, right? And at the same time, like, you know, this isn't going to solve your problems, right? Like, if you're in a bad place and, you know, your finances aren't in order, all these, like, your health isn't in order, like, it's not going to help you to go to one of these places, right? Like, you have to get these things straight and become that man, because you can actually lead. You need to learn to lead in a masculine way when you're dating with women, so you can avoid ones that are the wrong fit for you, right? Because that's a whole nother topic about this, right? Like, there are bad fits and good fits in every country, right? You can get taken advantage of anywhere. So you have to know what you're doing when it comes to dating.
Yeah, face yourself first, guys. I'm all about improving. I'm all about improving yourself every step of the way.
I remember being younger in my earlier teen years, and it always wrote.
And basically, another way of saying that is, like, if you kind of suck at dating already in the US or Canada or UK or whatever, right? Like it's not going to get that much better for you when you leave, right? And the only reason that it might would be the finances thing, which leads you down the path of they only want you for the money, right? And this is why you need to get everything else in order first, right? Build your character, learn, be that guy, get the finances straight, get in shape, right? You can't leave any of these things unchecked, because that's how you run into, let's say, a dumpster fire or a tricky situation when it comes to dating. And it doesn't matter if it's overseas or in your own country.
The wrong way when Christians would talk about submitting to their husbands, and I always hated that. And that was kind of when I was a little more of like I kind of liked feminism, but I didn't really understand much of third wave feminism. But it did always kind of rub me the wrong way. And then I realized that I was just surrounded by, number one, immature teenage boys, but also I had seen a lot of like deadbeat male figures in my life, and men who are not worthy of submitting to and trusting. And realizing that there were men out there totally changed my perspective on all of this.
When I was younger, I used to think that, why would I need a man? Like, why would I marry someone if I can provide for myself, if I can take care of myself, if I'm being the masculine one in the relationship? But now, I think what you really need is someone who's masculine enough for you to be feminine.
Yeah, and what's sad in America is men are taught that masculinity is toxic. Like, as we become, even if we go to the gym and get strong, people call you a meathead. People call you a bro. Like, people think that you're somehow enforcing this toxic masculine role that all men need to be strong just because you want to be strong. Or if you say some things like, I don't cry, like I don't like crying in front of my woman, people are like, that's toxic masculinity, rather than I want to be so emotionally secure for her that she can feel like he's not going to break down. Like when shit gets hard, I know my husband will be crying and not being like doing things to help improve the situation because he's so emotionally broken. So that's the problem with America too. So I think
if people throw around that term way too much, right? Like, oh, that's toxic masculinity, blah, blah, blah. Like half the time they don't know what they're talking about, right? This guy hit the nail on the head. Definitely, like there's a lot of things that people are calling toxic masculinity, and it's 100% garbage, right? Like it's just masculinity, and it's a positive thing, by the way.
American men, some men actually become feminine because they want a woman to like them. They want a woman to like them, and then it backfires. It's so sad. Like, men are trying to listen to what women are telling them to do. We're listening. We want you women. Like, we don't mind getting a woman working and showing that we are valuable to the woman, but we listen to what you say, and in America, it's confused.
According to the comments.
By the way, a good lesson to learn is to not always necessarily listen to what they say, right? Like listen to what they respond to, or observe what they respond to, right? Because what the advice that they'll give you in terms of like succeeding in dating, like especially sometimes what if it comes from a woman, like it can be, there's a mixed message, right? And I'm not saying that anybody's perfect at giving dating advice, right? But what women say they want and what women actually want, or what they respond to, are two different things. And some of them will give you the real advice, and then some of them will give you something that's very fluffy sounding and like is not actually what they want. And you can see it, right? Because you'll fail by following their advice, when if you did something else, right, and just watched how they responded to certain things, you would have actually succeeded with someone that you wanted to date.
The ladies over there are not impressed yet. Somebody said, facts, passport bros are birds. They're just lazy and don't want to improve in the U.S. And somebody else commented and said, as somebody who grew up in immigrant communities in the U.S., passport bros are always cheated on and never taken seriously. And then the poster of that video said, exactly.
Men have to be careful. There's games on both sides, right? And just like in America, a woman can use you for money. Anywhere in the world, a woman could use it for money, and women have to watch out because men can use it for sex. So there's a lot of both ways. There's a lot of men getting used for money, but there's also a lot of Filipino women getting used for sex by guys who don't care about them, that are past that, that have money and are attractive and nice, and women actually falling in love with them, but they're just smashing and going. So it's there's the same dynamic all over the world. But I will tell you one thing: in order to be a traditional man, a provider, you have to make a lot less if you want to be a provider in the Philippines or in other countries. Where in America, it's like the inflation and the system's so exploding that it's almost you have to have a dual income household. I don't know who. There's not a lot of people who can just have a traditional wife because they can't afford a house on their sole income. Where in the Philippines, you can.
Oh my God!
Is that American women shaming a pastor?
I think so.
She seems very docile, very traditional. You guys get the point, but somebody commented and said, even when flying, passport bros can't escape. Another person said, well, if this doesn't sell the passport bros concept, nothing will. Another one, I see why he is trying to fly away. Another one, what man wouldn't love to be married to her? Guaranteed a peaceful, stress-free life. So the message here for everybody. Number one, for Western women, get it together, or we're going to send all the men running to the hills. And men, if you are going to be a passport bro, which I understand, I know where you're coming from. It makes total sense. But if you're going to be a passport bro and you're going to go after all of these high-value traditional women, step it up. Because they deserve the same respect that you want. The same respect that you don't think you're getting here in the U.S. So make sure you level up.
Yep, 100%. I mean, we already talked about that. I totally agree with that. you got to level up, and you got to be a high quality dude, right? I mean, like, look, like the reality is this, you know, there's also a lot of guys who maybe seem good on paper, and they come over here like it seems like they have everything sorted, and they don't have their mindset sorted. So basically, what's happening, right, is they end up doing the same thing they were doing in the U.S., right, which is playing into hookup culture, which is Western culture. That is not the same when you go over, right? So you have to be like, look, at the end of the day, right, like you have to find people that are a good fit for you. And if you find people who also want short-term relationships, okay, great. And the thing is I think you need to be respectful of others, right? Like, just don't go around like, you know, being a playboy when you know that's not going to benefit you, and you know that's not going to benefit her, especially if you know that she's one of these women who deserves someone who's actually, you know, a good fit for her long term, right? Like maybe starting a family, something like that. Like, you know, because, you know, everybody wants different things, and that's effectively what they're talking about, is like just dating with a level of respect, rather than continuing sort of like some of the nightmare that they're talking about in, you know, westernized dating.
I like that ending point.
Yeah, I think as a woman, I can see what they're trying to do. Like, they're trying to communicate, and they feel like they're not being heard, and they like use nagging as a medium to communicate how they feel and how they want to be heard. But there are a lot of ways to communicate how you feel.
They're frustrated. Western women are frustrated. Men are frustrated. And I actually feel bad for Western women because they were lied to. They were lied to a lot about feminism. They were taught that getting that high-paying job, they were taught becoming a man would make them happy. They were taught, hey, these men have everything. And it was kind of sold like a patriarchy, like men run the world. When a select few group of men run the world, the majority of men live tough lives. And becoming the average guy, you realize it's not going to make you happy. Mm-hmm. You need partners. And average men need partners too. So now we have these women who make good money. You know, they're not great money, but they make decent money. They can provide for themselves. They can live in an apartment alone if they wanted to. And they look at these men, they think they're on shit. A guy will fall in love with a girl from Starbucks. That's it. A guy will fall in love with a girl at McDonald's. Like, that's just how it happens. That's who we are. And so women put a lot of time to build up these careers and get into positions, which is admirable. And I respect them. Like, I think women should work. I just think women should have the choice to be a housewife. And I think society's made to where that choice is disappearing. Let's check some of the comments before we go. It's to be expected when women's rights turn into men have no rights.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to like talk about on my TikTok. Like, you are expecting you're expecting to be like the queen of your house, like by not doing anything, but you're expecting your partner to do everything. That's the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And make sure to follow Digital Bromad for future uploads.
Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think of Passport Bros and if she represented it well. Follow me. I got good shit.
Awesome, guys. Well, you know, obviously an interesting video, interesting takes there. All valid points too. You know, Brett Cooper made some great points, and so did Jewel, the Filipina, as well as the Digital Bromad here. So, I mean, definitely recommend checking out both of their channels. The comment section by Brett Cooper, and then the Digital Bromad. And actually, one last point there. It's kind of interesting. They kind of touched on this earlier. Is that like this idea of like maybe bringing someone back home, and you know, if that's something that works, great. Although a lot of guys who want to do something like that, like they're leaving the country not specifically for dating, right? It's so, you know, they can enjoy an environment that they've always been interested in, right? Maybe somewhere tropical and beautiful like the Philippines or Thailand or Colombia or these different places, right? And the thing about this is most guys don't want to go back, right? So like the idea of like they only want you for your green card kind of thing, like it kind of invalidates it a little bit, because like the guy doesn't really want to go back home with the girl. Like he'd much rather stay where they met, right? And connect with her family, and then they can, you know, connect families at some point, right? But like they're not interested in that. So like that argument sometimes is a little bit invalidated. And then the last point I was thinking about is this is not a new thing. I think a lot of people have mentioned this before. This is not a new thing. I mean, guys who have been doing well financially and have that level of, let's say, location freedom, like they own a business or something like that, they've been doing this for a long time. In that circumstance, guys who maybe were like war veterans, right? Like retired, like they've been doing this anyway. So like none of this is new, right? It's just, something that's been popping up more with a different term on the internet nowadays, right? So anyways, I hope this was helpful for you. Definitely a different take, and could be helpful for you in terms of making some decisions on what you want to do, whether you want to stay in your country that you're in now, or you want to maybe start traveling and expand your horizons, and see what else is out there. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.